Okay, welcome back to Business Owners Speak. Today, I'm thrilled to have with us Lisa Jennings with Wildly Different, Play Outside the Cubicle. Lisa, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's our pleasure. Well, the name of your business is certainly a good hook, right? You gotta find out what else is going on here and what it's all about. So if you could tell us a little bit about you and the business.
Absolutely. And you're right. Definitely, when I say the company name, people want to know a little bit more. And the tagline really does say it all: play outside the cubicle. We are all about mostly working with corporations who are looking at doing team building activities that will get them not only outside their office, but outside their comfort zone a little bit. But saying that, nothing too harsh, nothing too crazy. It's all about play-based recreational activities. So you'll get to know your fellow colleagues in a way differently than you would if you were sitting in the office next to them.
Of course, I immediately just had views of the show The Office and some of their out of office trips. I'm sure it's wildly different from that, but
Thankfully, yes.
Take us back. How long's the business been open?
It has been open for 20 years. We are celebrating the 20th year on April 1st, April Fool's Day. What better day to launch a company that deals with play than on April Fool's Day?
Amazing. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
So take us back. How did it all happen? How did it come together 20 years ago?
Oh my goodness. Well, I own the company along with another colleague, Jane. I have a background in recreation. Yes, believe it or not, I went to school for this and I have a degree in what's called leisure services, and I learned how to play for a living. And I worked for a number of different companies doing just that sort of thing. Always dreamed of owning my own company one day. And Jane and I actually worked at another company together. And we used to be the ones who would go off and brainstorm new ideas for events and activities. And we just said, one of these days, you and I, we're going to start a company that does nothing more than treasure hunts and game shows and all sorts of fun things. And one day it just turned out that we're like, okay, it is time. Let's do this thing. And I have the background in the recreation and leisure services. I'm more of the forward-facing person, which is why I'm here today talking to you instead of Jane. She prefers to be the great support person that she is on the other end, running. She's kind of like the wizard behind the curtain, like pay no attention to the girl behind the curtain. And she's got a background in marketing and meeting planning. So she really understands the direction that our customers are coming to us from. She understands when I get a crazy idea of, we could do this. She's like, okay, tone it down because meeting planners don't want that sort of thing. And, this would work out better. And it's just been a fabulous partnership. And we've been going strong for 20 years.
Wow. So did people think you were crazy? Like, we're going to start a business. Like, how did you even describe it at the beginning?
That's a good question. Well, even going further back, when I went into leisure services, I know my parents said, oh my goodness, what is leisure services? We're not paying you to get a degree in basket weaving. Right. And strangely enough, I'm one of the few people who actually does what they went to university for many, many years later. So that's kind of cool. And even now, I will say that people who've known me for some time still don't completely understand what we do. So it is hard to explain. When I meet someone, I usually say I get to play for a living. And I explain that we do corporate outings, recreational activities, and things like scavenger hunts and game shows and charitable activities where maybe they're building a radio flyer wagon and then competing in challenges to win toys to fill it up to donate to kids in need. Then people start understanding once you give a little bit more of an explanation.
Right. All right. So when you first started, what was your outbound strategy like? How did you go find clients? That's usually people laugh at that when they think back to how they used to do it, but
it's true. Well, actually, we're probably still doing the same thing to this day. So from a local perspective, we're a Orlando, Florida based company, but we do travel literally worldwide. I've been as far afield as India doing events. Locally, we would go to the people that we knew needed our services. So that's destination management companies who are contacted by clients doing meetings in the Orlando area to secure events, parties, transportation, and asking if we could do a presentation for them, and going to association meetings where we knew they hung out, whether that's Meeting Professionals International or ILEA, which is the special event industry organization, and just made contacts that way, and then got in the door by doing presentations. They were looking for our services. We were lucky we got picked up pretty quickly. From a national and international perspective, that was a little more challenging. I thought that I could just optimize the website myself, and contracted with somebody who did website optimization, who said, yeah, I'll teach you. And he booked about a half-day program with me, and about half hour into the program, I went, stop. I am not doing that. I am not going to be able to stay on top of it. I'm going to pay you to do it. And it was a very nerve-wracking decision to make, because as we know, SEO is not cheap, but it was the best decision we ever made, because that's where we get all of our business, is through our website and by optimizing keyword terms that people are looking for. So yeah, still works for us today.
How long ago did you start SEO?
Started it back, oh gosh, probably in 2007 is when I probably started the optimization. And as you know, if, as a business owner, the game has changed many, many times. And I can't tell you how many times we've changed our website. We've changed what we have to do, because how things work in the SEO world changes. So it's not something that can be a one and done. Even if you do outsource it, you do have to be very involved with the company that's doing it for you.
Wow, have the foresight that long ago to understand the importance, laying all that groundwork too adds up, right? Because SEO, is all about compounding work. So that's amazing. Good for you.
And, knowing that with our company, for instance, we don't have any output of expenses until an event is booked and paid for, which is great, right? I never have to worry about, for instance, a retailer has to stock product and hope that someone walks through their door. With us, an event's contracted, we then start buying the items we need to get that event into production. However, for something like SEO, that's something that you have to go, oh, God, I have to spend how much a month in order to get people to call me? And that was nerve-wracking. But again, best decision I ever made. I really believe that old adage, you have to spend money to make money, and it's definitely paid off for us.
That's great. Okay, so it makes sense that your targets in terms of potential clients or partners, right, would be large organizations that do a lot of different events. How about just typical corporations, single corporations, business owners looking for a change, looking to do something different with their team?
That's what's great about what we do, right? My phone rings and I never know what's going to be at the other end of it. That's both on the type of project, the type of event, type of activity they're looking for, and the type of client that we're working with. So right before this call, I got a call from a faith-based association, nonprofit. They're not going to have the deep pockets that perhaps a Fortune 1000 company would have. However, we have solutions that run the gamut all the way from that type of client on up to the Fortune 1000 client. So it is interesting, and it is available to everybody. And I love when people call and they say, oh my gosh, my event's going to be in Arizona. Do you go out there and do events? Yes, we do. And it works out well for them. And they're like, oh, but it's going to cost a fortune to get you and your entire team in. That's not necessarily the case. We've definitely streamlined what we do so that one main person from our office, along with an assistant, can go out and run a really large scale activity by utilizing local staff, training them right before the event to keep those costs down. Sure. So, and I love that we've done every size group from as small as 7 people on up to 3,000 people.
3,000.
3,000.
So, and I want to get to that, but you did mention teams. So I want to hear a little bit about kind of what's the makeup of the team. Is it all event people, or how does that work?
Yeah, we have a couple of people who work on the sales side. And then once that goes definite, we have an operations team who will go out and about to run all of the events. We are a streamlined company. We have 8 of us who work full-time in the office doing nothing else but playing for a living. But then we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 on-call staff that we tap into in order to help us deliver our events. And some of those people will travel with us as well.
Okay, so on call for big things, but typically a lot of your events are at a facility, right, that has the F&B piece. They have the tables and the chairs and the setup, or are you doing that a lot yourself?
You are absolutely correct when what you said. Primarily, we offer the activity. We do not take care of the food and beverage, the tables and chairs. So it's great. Someone calls us, says we need an event. I'm like, wonderful. Where's your event taking place? We show up, we do the whole song and dance, do a fantastic job, leave the place cleaner than we found it. And yeah, it works out really well. And in fact, a lot of people will use us versus, I like to say our biggest competition isn't necessarily other companies that do team building. It's other things that people could be doing. And usually those other things require people to go off site. So whether that's we're going to do a round of golf, we're going to go and, you know, do a archery course or something like that. A lot of companies don't have that kind of time built into their schedule. So to have someone they can call, show up where they are, and it just literally takes 2 hours out of their schedule to do something that connects their people is a real plus for them.
Okay. So you mentioned the wide gamut of different kinds of events in terms of size, I would imagine length as well. What is kind of the core business? Is it like about how many people, you know, is it a 1-day event? Is it a weekend retreat? Like what's kind of a, if you can call anything normal, what a normal event would be like?
That's true. My world is never normal. But saying that, the majority of our team building events run between 1 to 2 hours. There's a couple that can go longer, and that is it from the moment we kick off until the moment we end. Again, though, there are literally probably in the neighborhood of 100 different types of events that we can deliver. So when someone calls us, it's very much a discovery. I do often get frustrated when clients who will just fill out a contact us form and say, hey, we need an event. Don't call, we just want to do email. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because there are so many questions that we need to get to. Are you looking for something indoors, outdoors? What's the demographic of your group? What have you done already? If it's a charitable event, what type of charity do you want to help out? So it's really taking that 5 minutes max and just asking those questions to get a client what it is that they're looking for.
Yep. Yeah, their boss said to reach out to somebody, so they did, and they checked the box. And yeah. So in terms of just kind of that ideation of what to do for the event, are you usually an active participant in that, or do people come to you with fully baked out ideas and just, hey, Lisa, can you make this happen?
It's both. The majority of the time, I would say they have no idea what they want and they're just looking at what's out there. Maybe they've perused the site and they've said, oh, this looks fun, that looks fun, send us that. Other times they're like, I don't know. And so they do appreciate the very many questions that I ask to try and get to the meat of that. And very often it's, yeah, we want this. How can we make it happen? And that's really why we called ourselves Wildly Different, is we do have same old classic team building events, but then we also offer things that fit your customized needs. So if you are looking for that wildly different activity to fit your theme or the boss's vision, we love trying to make that come to life. That's really what we get excited about.
Sure. I'm having visions though of, do you just have storage space with all sorts of stuff for games and activities, and or do you rent all that, or do you own, like, what does that look like?
A little bit of both. We do have a very large warehouse full of play equipment. In fact, I had my great niece visit me a couple weeks ago, and I took her to the warehouse, and she was like so excited.
Yeah,
She was picking out all the stuff to play with.
Right. You don't need Disney, just take her to the warehouse.
That's absolutely right. And she was adorable. So that's great. We do have that. But then other things we do rent, and that tends to be more on the technological side. So for instance, hunts are very popular for us. High-tech hunts, and people sometimes don't want their participants using their own phones. They want to provide an iPad for each team to use. We used to buy those, and then we quickly found out technology changes in just such a ridiculously quick amount of time. So now we rent so that we can get the best of the equipment, and it's never going out of fashion and out of use, really. So
okay, and I don't know, your business is very interesting to me. What about volume? Like, how many events will you do in a calendar year?
wow, that does vary from year to year. I would say that any given week, we have anywhere from 1 all the way up to 10 events going on. And we're seasonal in that we do about 40% of our work in Orlando because that's where we're based, and also because it's the #2 meeting destination in the United States. So it makes sense. The busy months in Florida are January through Easter because we have gorgeous weather. Slows down a little bit in the summer, and then we have a shoulder season, September through just before Thanksgiving. And so those times will be definitely way busier than our summer months, where that's project time and creating new event time.
Yes, understood. All right, so 20 years, right? What you've got obviously a lot of time to reflect on, but as you look forward, what's next for Wildly Different?
I wish I could say what's next. My team sometimes, what is the word I'm looking for? Despairs that we don't have a business plan, so to speak, with goals, but we're so small, we prefer to just roll with the punches. And the perfect example I can give of that is the pandemic. So the pandemic hit and the event industry especially got hit hard. We immediately went, oh, we have a game that we can play virtually. We had done it already with Apple and it was very successful. And so we were rolling it out to a couple of other clients who had remote workers. And, we thought this is like 1% of our business. Well, pandemic hit and we went, hello, this is now going to be 100% of our business. And there was a couple of us who thought, well, this is a waste of time because this is going to be over in a month. But when everyone else was home doing their gardening and waiting for it to pass, we were in full high power mode. Let's get a lot more virtual games put together. And we were very blessed that we did that because, as you know, it stretched out for years and it really did save the company and kept everybody working and saved our clients too, who were like, wow, this is crazy. We were hoping we could just wait until this goes away, but we need to connect with our people. So I like to think that because we are very quick on our feet and very reactionary, I do never know what's next. I really don't. I'd love to know what 10 years from now is going to show.
Well, either way, you'll be ready for it. It sure sounds like.
We will.
And COVID was going to be a question. So thank you for covering that, because obviously an industry that was greatly affected. So how about some advice, right? We talk to a lot of business owners. We talk to a lot of people who are in a current job, have an idea, want to take the plunge, can't get comfortable with it. What advice would you give for someone either in that boat or a new business owner on how to get to 20 years?
Sure. Well, my biggest piece of advice for people who are starting out is to not do what I did, right? When I decided we were going to start the company, I wanted money to fall back on. So I tended bar at night because I used to be a bartender back in college and it seemed like a no-brainer. I could work on the business all day. I could go and earn money at night, and then I wouldn't feel like I was panicking because no money was coming in. In retrospect, I think it was the worst thing I could have done. When I started focusing on the business 24/7 and putting all of my marbles into going after that is when it took off. So as hard as it can be to think I need a side job, it's going to tire you out and you're going to pull your investment away from what's important to you. So if you can manage it, I'd say don't try to do another job. The other thing that we did was we were focusing a lot on we can do this and we can do that and we can do the other thing. We actually had another company name called Masters of the Hunt, which was all about scavenger hunts, which is a big passion of ours. And it's folded into Wildly Different now. We were confusing people with a mixed message. So definitely focus on what one thing you enjoy the most and what you do well and go after it. You think you're divesting, but really you're confusing people.
Really interesting. Yeah, we also tell people don't be good at a few things, be great at something, right? Because people do have a tendency to do that and have too many things going on in that, the financial advice, not just money, but energy, right? I mean, the energy spent, it's a net, because yes, you may be making some money, but what you're pulling away in energy and time and focus from your main passion is what can kill them, right? And that's
absolutely
the hard part. Well, Lisa, I'm very impressed and I love the business. I managed very large teams for a long time, and I sure wish I would have heard of you sometime in those last 20 years, because I could have used you and would have a lot, because I believe strongly in that team building piece. But thank you so much for taking the time today. We really enjoyed having you on, and we wish Wildly Different the best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure to be here.
All right. Take care.